So in the recent Dragon Ball Super special, Goku finally revealed his new form, Ultra Instinct. Here his eyes glaze over and he's able to react with superhuman reflexes and finally put up a good fight against Jiren. The really cool thing about this state is it's actually inspired by some real life phenomena. In fact, the awesome YouTuber Jack's Blade recently did a video discussing how it's very similar to a state in martial arts known as Mushin. But if you're a fan of this channel, then you'll also know that Mushin itself is very similar to a flow state. So I'm going to talk a little bit more here about what a flow state is and a new interesting way of potentially unlocking it that I've been researching lately. In a flow state, you're 100% concentrating on a single event or task, and this allows you to perform with superhuman ability. Some have called it the ultimate state of peak human performance, which is quite hyperbolic, but does seem to have some merit. So this is when time seems to slow down and you're able to react with superhuman reflexes. It's when you're writing an essay and you're so into it that you forget to go to the toilet. It's when you're in a fascinating conversation and you're able to talk all through the night and you lose track of time. Neurologically, what's going on here is that the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain involved in planning and reflection, this kind of shuts down, and so does your default mode network, the part of your brain involved in daydreaming and thinking about the future. So this closes down and puts you in a state known as temporal hypofrontality, meaning in other words, temporarily your frontal regions of your brain are shutting down, allowing you to become a creature of pure instinct. So this has a lot of similarity with the state in martial arts known as Mushin, which is mind without mind, where you're reacting once again on pure instinct, and it enables you to fight much more quickly, to react much more quickly, because you don't have that small thought process that's going on inside your head. So according to authors like Stephen Knotler, who wrote The Rise of Superman, there's 17 different flow state triggers, and these include things like deep embodiment, when you're being flung around and you're having to use your balance or you're falling. Rich environment, so when there's a lot of interesting things going on around you. The correct skill to difficulty ratio, so that what you're doing is difficult, but not so difficult that you don't think you can do it. It's just hard enough that you need to focus, but not so hard that you become disheartened. High reward and risk, these help you achieve flow. Basically, a flow state is very similar to the fight or flight response, but where instead of being terrified and shaking on the spot, you're calm and in control. So what's happening is very important, either rewarding or dangerous, but you feel like you can do it. You can just about do it if you put all of your concentration onto that one thing. So common situations where people might experience flow are when they're surfing or when they're snowboarding, moving at high speed, but they're loving it. And that means they're 100% focused because they have to be in order to survive, but they're not scared, they're calm at the same time. In the brain, you're producing a lot of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, norepinephrine, anandamide, serotonin, so you're alert and you're aroused, but you're also calm and you're loving it, you're feeling blissful. And you're also usually exhibiting slower brain waves, which are on the cusp between alpha and theta. So if you're in a fight, or if you're snowboarding, or if you're playing sports and you feel like the challenge is high, the stakes are high, but you've got what it takes, then hopefully there's a high chance you'll achieve flow. And if you're falling, or if there's a lot of sensory input at the same time, then those chances got even higher. During an essay or doing some kind of work, if you're getting immediate feedback and if you're feeling very motivated, you're interested in that topic, then once again, there's a higher chance that you're going to achieve flow. But it's still quite an elusive goal. We don't know exactly what triggers flow. It might be different for different people, and you can't always be surrounding yourself with rich environments, and you can't always be falling down a mountain. So how do you trigger that flow state when you really need it? What are some tricks and methods you can use? Well, in my research, I found one particularly interesting method, and it's called wide angle vision. It's also sometimes known as owl eyes. This is apparently how the Native Americans referred to it, and it can be called splatter vision. The idea is that normally we focus on one thing. We've been trained to focus on one thing. We spend so long reading our phones, looking at computer screens, reading books, speaking to a person, that we rarely use the full wide angle capability of our eyes. We just focus on that one thing and switch our focus to the point where it's become a habit, so that even when we're relaxing, we're still focused on one thing. It's even been suggested that this might be where some of our vision problems start to come from in later life, because we're not exercising our ability to focus at different ranges. In wide angle vision, you're rediscovering that ability to focus on lots of things all at once, to be aware, hyper aware of your surroundings. And the way you do this, one way to achieve it, is by stretching your arms out, you can't see mine, wiggling your fingers whilst looking forwards and watching your fingers as you do. Try it now, I'll give you a moment, and then try and hold on to that state. And you should find that now you're not focusing on one thing in the middle, but rather you have a kind of blanket vision of everything going on. You've lost some detail, you've lost some precision, but you've gained a much broader gamut of stimuli coming in. Now, a lot of people will use this during survival training. They'll walk through the woods using this wide angle vision, and they use it in order to see more interesting wildlife as they go, to spot potential predators, to spot potential food. Likewise, if you notice animals, they don't stare at one thing, they tend to have this kind of wider field of view. If you notice any movement happening anywhere within that field of view, then your attention will be brought there, even though you don't have that same level of detail and precision. It's enough to know what you need to direct your attention to. Apparently in the FBI they use this technique and they call it splatter vision. They train their agents this way in order to allow them to scan a crowd of people more effectively, to look for targets or potential threats, or to scan their environment to look for exits and potential weapons.
I can tell you that our waitress is left-handed and the guy sitting up at the counter weighs 215 pounds and knows how to handle himself. I know the best place to look for a gun is the cab of the gray truck outside.
This could raise your situational awareness as well, and maybe one day save your life. And the even cooler thing about wide angle vision is that it increases your reaction time and allows you to block attacks more quickly, catch balls, and just perform better athletically. And there's a few reasons that this might be the case. The first is that when you have this wider angle vision, you have more context for what's going on in your field of view. If you've ever been driving in the dark, you'll notice you feel like you're moving faster. That's because your vision is narrowed, you can see less, and thus there's less context, things seem to be coming out of nowhere. If you can see more, then you seem to be moving slower because you can see those objects coming sooner, you can see them in relationship to other objects in your field of view. So when you engage this wider field of vision, you can likewise see things coming sooner and you can gauge their distance and their speed more effectively, thus almost seeming to dilate time, giving you more time to react to whatever it is you need to attack and react to. And another possible reason that time seems to slow down might be that you're achieving a flow state. So the guy who coined the term flow state, Csikszentmihalyi, I'm sorry, I do not know how to say it, and I know it's hypocritical coming from a guy called Adam Chernitsky. Anyways, he says that we have roughly 110 bits of information that we can attend to at any given time. Speaking alone apparently takes 60 bits of information. Normally, our brain is kind of scattered among these different things, so we're focusing on one thing and another thing and another thing, but during a flow state, all 110 bits are focused on that one activity, and thus, of course, we're going to perform better because we have more processing power committed to that one task. And if you're engaging your wide-angle vision, basically what you're doing is you're inviting more information in through your eyes, and that gives you more information to attend to, meaning that you can't attend to those other things. You're pushing out those things that don't matter so that you're just focused on what's happening right now, and thus you experience deeper embodiment and presence in the current moment. And when you look at more things, you'll find that you also hear more things because your vision directs your other senses. If you want to learn more about that, then check out my video on daredevil training. And one more reason that wide-angle vision could trigger a flow state is that it puts you in a state of calm. So when you're panicked, when you're scared, you do focus on just one thing, you gain tunnel vision. You're so focused on that one thing because it's probably going to kill you and your heart rate raises, your body knows something's wrong. When you're looking at a wider vision of the world, you're signaling to your body that there's nothing inherently, immediately dangerous happening right now. You've got this, you're calm. And so of course your response calms down as well, and you produce more of those alpha and theta brainwaves, and you can respond to it in an engaged but calm manner rather than a scared fight or flight response. Essentially a flow state is fight or flight response, scared, in trouble, but then I've got this, calmer. It's a calmer response to something that needs 100% of your attention. You can achieve this with wide-angle vision, and I'm going to talk in the future about how you can achieve this with different breathing techniques such as warrior breathing. And martial arts do incorporate all this. In fact, one Wadaru Karate Kata starts with a move designed to engage your peripheral vision and potentially help you achieve Mushin. It starts with your hands in front of you, you raise them slowly and draw a circle. The idea is that you watch the hands all the way around, and in doing so you've achieved peripheral vision and potentially increased your chances of attaining Mushin. Of course, it's also important, like I said, that the karateka have practiced their moves over and over again so that whilst they're reacting quickly, without that extra conscious thought, their body knows what to do and how to respond to an attack. And yeah, all this is pretty close to what Goku does in that episode when he achieves Ultra Instinct. In fact, in the show, his eyes even turn silver, indicating their importance. The one problem with all this is that to many people, a flow state is slightly different than what I've just described as being Mushin. To many people, a flow state means focusing on one thing intently, and what's that got to do with wide-angle vision? What does writing an essay have to do with wide-angle vision? Likewise, many people say creativity is increased during a flow state, and what does that have to do with any of this? Well, my theory is that actually the term flow state is used too broadly. I think that what we call a flow state is actually lots of different flow states. It makes sense to me that neurochemically, skiing down the mountain is different to writing an essay. I think that some people like Stephen Knotler have a tendency to describe flow states as a kind of panacea, a solution to everything, when in fact we have lots of different mental states, all of which are useful, and the most optimum performance comes from being able to switch between them at the right time. I also think that it's important sometimes to daydream. I think the default mode network is very important, and that we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So in a future video I'll discuss this in more detail. I'll talk about different types of beneficial mental states and how to achieve them. But for now, I think that if you want to achieve the flow state that is most similar to Mushin, then using wide-angle vision is one cool way that you can do it. I'd like to know what you think in the comments down below. I just hope that Goku discovers this before Jiren eliminates him and Universe 7 is destroyed. So thanks a ton for watching, guys. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you did, then please leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought. Please share, please like, please subscribe, please hit the bell button so you get notifications. All of this helps me immensely. And if you would like to help the channel, then please also check out my social media links in the description down below. Follow me on Instagram, where I post my workouts and my productivity tips, and on Instagram, I've said Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, where you can follow whatever I'm getting up to. All of this helps a lot with the channel, and like I've said in the past, I'm really building this up and putting a lot of effort into it at the moment to try and grow it. In the future, I've got tons more videos coming on all these same topics, nootropics, workouts. I'm going to be talking about metabolic conditioning soon, and how to raise your energy levels. So if all that sounds interesting, then please hit subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.